Sirens, Slammers, and Service, a podcast for female first responders by female first responders. My name is Nikki Clucci, and I will be your host. As a former correctional officer in Alberta for almost 2 decades and the founder of Blue Line Fitness Testing, which provides law enforcement fitness testing and first responder wellness workshops, I started this podcast as a way for female first responders to share the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of their daily work. I want to showcase the unique perspectives, skill sets, and personalities that women bring to a first responder career and share their stories. So get ready to laugh your ass off, learn a whole bunch, and be inspired by some pretty badass women. Let's go.
Not my fault, Kate. And also, I need to make sure my phone is on silent because otherwise somebody will fucking call me right in the middle. And
For sure.
Quickly set a timer too. So otherwise, I let us talk for hours and hours and hours. And then I'm like, oh God, wait a minute. We have been talking for way too long. Okay. Boop. There we go. Okay. Awesome. All right. Anything before we go?
I don't think so.
I love it. All right. So we are going to go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, guys. Oh my gosh. It's been a hot minute, but now I have a guest with us all the way from Massachusetts. Today, I am joined by Nicole Ferry. She goes by Nikki, which is just like, hi, Nikki and Nikki. Yes, love it. Nicole is a retired special agent in charge. She's also a speaker and an author. She has 26 years in police and EMS, and she's also the founder of Valor Ruck, held in October, which raises awareness for mental health for first responders. And we are going to dive deep into some amazing things today. So welcome, Nicole. How are you today?
Good morning, I think. It's morning.
Yes, it is morning.
Yes. It's so great to be with you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
I'm so excited. So do you want me to call you Nikki? Because I'm totally fine with calling you Nikki rather than
Yes,
Nicole.
you can.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay. That's awesome. So we were introduced again. I'm going to give a shout out to Janet Wizawati because she is just the queen networker for me. Janet and you met, I think we said through another event or another friend.
Yeah, another friend. And actually, when I get off this podcast with you, I have one with her right after this. So Janet's amazing. So thank you, Janet.
Yes, we love you, Janet. Yes, it's amazing. The amount of people that she knows and who she can connect has been so perfect. So, but yeah, let's dive into it because you have a fascinating story. And so tell me how 26 years in police and EMS, which is not normally like a combo that we see. Usually it's fire and EMS, or it's just EMS, or it's nurse and EMS. So tell me how you kind of got into this career, what drew you to being a first responder, and then obviously now retired, now as a speaker and an author, what are you doing now that you're out of the game and you're now leading the way for first responder mental wellness?
Awesome. Well, as a first responder and a veteran, I have to start by telling you that I have lived through decades of trauma in the military and law enforcement and EMS, and frankly, just life. Like all of us have that in life. And I know, and probably your listeners know, that we know this firsthand, that first responders are more likely to die by suicide than to be killed in the line of duty. And so I start by telling you that because that's a stark reality that I didn't know until probably 3 years ago. But over my 30 decades of serving and surviving, I started to believe that I was unlovable, unworthy, and defective. It didn't help that I had a high school guidance counselor who told me, direct quote, "Nicole, you're too stupid to go to college. You better figure something else." I know, right? So I'm dyslexic and didn't test very well. And so the standardized testing, the SATs, I didn't do well. Actually, I bombed them. And so when we sat down right before Christmas of my senior year in high school, we had this conversation where all my friends were going to colleges and going on to do great things. That's a direct quote. "Nicole, you're too stupid to go to college. You better figure something else out." And that put the onus on me. It wasn't like we were going to figure this out. It was Nicole, you're going to figure this out. And so I did. I joined the
Q
Army
hyper
National
independence, right? Q hyper independence. Trauma response number 1, hyper independence. Let's
Yes.
roll that up, right?
Check that box.
Oh my God. So
I
joined
joined the Army National Guard. Okay. And so I learned how to cope by rescuing others. But in that process, like, really abandoned myself. And that's where I really honed in that self-belief that I was unlovable, unworthy, and defective, right? I had heard it in my own internal stuff, but then this person who has authority over me, a guidance counselor who is supposed to help guide and counsel, which is lovely. And so I go on to do all these things and I rescue everyone else. And so I do that in the military. I then get out of boot camp and my training and I go to the police academy. And so I start rescuing people there. And I work for a very small town who has an ambulance service that is not primary for that town. So a neighboring town their ambulance has to come to respond to our 911 medical emergencies. And I had a couple people die, and I had a couple severe critical incidents in motor vehicle accidents, and I felt like I wasn't prepared. I mean, I had basic first aid in the military, I had basic first aid at the police academy, but I didn't feel as though I was prepared enough to take care of the patients that I was seeing because I was the first responder and we had to wait so long for an ambulance to show up. So in my infinite wisdom as a hyper independent person, I was like, I have this great idea. I'm going to become an EMT so that I have the knowledge to rescue more people. And so when I wasn't working at the police department, I was volunteering for the local ambulance and then went on to swap shifts. When I wasn't policing, I was working for the EMS. And when I wasn't doing both of those, I was, in the Army National Guard and doing that one weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the year when I wasn't deployed. So I lived in that cycle of service and rewarded very heavily for doing more, and saw that as a sense of pride, doing more. I was caught in this like relentless cycle. And now, after all of the things that I have lived through, I had, worked at that municipal department for a while. I moved to another municipal department, got promoted up through the other one as a sexual assault investigator. And I investigated crimes against children and elderly. I did some domestic terrorism work with the Joint Terrorism Task Force locally. And really, again, throwing myself into that rescuer position and never taking time for myself. I then move on to private policing with one of the 5 large railroad police departments in our country, in the United States. And so my territory was about 16 states in the northeast of our country, and then the 2 provinces of Canada. So I had a huge team of people working. And again, as a rescuer, I'm in charge of the military liaison program. I'm working on human trafficking for them and working to launch and monitor our human trafficking for our whole company, which is 28 states east of the Mississippi. So that was a very large program. I was also in charge of the Honor Garden, the wellness team, and all these things.
Everything,
right?
Because that's what we do. We take it all on. Bring it on. Let me do it all. Let me stay so busy that I don't recognize all the shit that's happening to me. Yes.
And so while I'm at Police Week in 2022, I get a phone call from the only cop that I do not want to hear from on Police Week. And that is my boss telling me that one of my agents has very violently attempted suicide in front of his partner, and in a very non-traditional way. And so that suicide was completed. My agent did die. And I went into, I'm not even sure how to define my overactive rescuer pre-suicide, but post-suicide, I had just cut myself into little tiny pieces to take care of everyone. Take care of a family, take care of a department, take care of a team, take care of a community. And I had abandoned myself way before we started this, but I essentially picked up and moved to New Jersey to take care of the things that needed to be taken care of, and pretty quickly realized that I needed some help. I needed some help because I needed resources, not because I particularly needed help. So I hadn't heard, I've had hundreds, if not thousands of hours of training in 26 years, but I had very minimal, like a couple hours of what happens when me as a first responder is suicidal or someone around me. So we know how to handle those that are a danger to themselves and others in the community, but it's something different when it's us, because we believe that we are different, that we're a unicorn, right? Like we're just different. And we don't want to go to the place that the community goes to, right? Because they might recognize us and all the other things for that. So I had heard two people from Survive First Foundation speak at an FBI event in that February of 2022. And these two people were the first people that I had heard publicly speak about mental health and suicide and their struggle and how that played out. So one of these individuals is Doug Monda. He's the founder of Survive First Foundation out of Florida. And the other is Raul Rivas. He's also a part of Survive First Foundation. And they had such candid conversation. Doug was a former Blackwater sniper and had done all kinds of things with his police department and had been in a tragic motor vehicle accident where he was hit by a car and had multiple surgeries. He talked about suicide and going down that path. Raul Rivas is a part of the SWAT team for Tampa, Florida, and he was involved in the Pulse nightclub shooting where the terrorists had killed all those people. And so these two individuals were the first people that I heard publicly speak about this, and that there was another side, that there was this struggle and sacrifice, but that there was hope on the other side of this. So when the suicide in my department happened, I reached out to them in LinkedIn and I sent them a message like, I hope that you remember me. I'm a female special agent in charge for a railroad in the Northeast. Like, I hope that I'm enough of a unicorn for you to remember who I am so that you can help me get resources for my team. Not realizing that I'm the one that needs this help.
Yeah.
Right? So they reach out to me right away and they're like, hey girl, we got you. And I was like, really? And they did, right? They helped me get a culturally competent therapist. They helped me go on to pick out a treatment center because I was so dysregulated. I was like, I'm a leader and leaders lead in the front. And I mean, you can see the American flag behind me. Like, I was raised on duty, honor, country, and it goes, like specifically in that order. And so I was going to bring another individual that had witnessed the suicide to treatment. I was going to show them how to do this. And I end up going to a trauma treatment facility in California. And I checked myself into a trauma treatment facility with the idea that I would come back and let people ask me what it was like so that I would demystify what it was like to be in treatment.
Yep.
And I had signed up for 30 days. Well, at like day 30, the clinical director was like, are you about done leading? And I was like, I don't really know what you're talking about. Like, I'm running a tight ship here, ma'am. Like, things are good. And she kind of laughed at me and she was like, you're not running, you're coping. Like your coping mechanism is to rescue and to lead and make sure that people are making their bed and the dishes are done and people aren't sleeping in class. Like you're leading, you're not healing. And it hit me like, oh, what am I doing? And it leaves me going, I don't know how to do this any other way. Like,
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Blue Line Fitness Testing is a premier law enforcement fitness testing and training center based in Edmonton. Specializing in helping individuals prepare for the physical demands of a career in law enforcement, we offer comprehensive fitness evaluations, specialized training programs, and classes tailored to meet the unique needs of our clients. Our facility hosts a range of classes and are committed to fostering a supportive and empowering environment where clients can achieve their fitness goals. Our team includes experienced trainers who bring specialized expertise in law enforcement, self-defense, personal training, and rehabilitation. We engage through our community through challenges, events, and our podcast, and we are dedicated to helping individuals succeed in their fitness journeys and career aspirations in law enforcement. Are you looking to get started with your career? Come see Blue Line Fitness Testing, and we'll get you there.
I've led for so long, and my coping mechanisms have been about other people. Rescue, rescue, rescue. And never about putting my own oxygen mask on. So I'm at treatment and I have to call home and be like, hey, I can't come home yet. So I tell my husband, like, hey, I think I need another 30 days here. Like, and they didn't really understand, but was like, hey, whatever you got to do to get okay. When I went into treatment, I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping. When I did fall asleep, I was having nightmares, night terrors, night sweats. I was a terrorist in my own home. And my family was held captive to my mood swings, right? Like no one ever knew what mom was going to be like. What a scary, scary place to live in my house. Because along with the not cooking and not cleaning, like I was just trying to save everybody outside of these four walls, never recognizing that the people in the four walls were prisoners of war. Right? These people were just holding their breath because they didn't know what mom was going to do next. And so in treatment, when I finally realized that I was just leading everyone in my life, trying to rescue everybody, it was like shedding a little bit of armor at a time, right? I had so many layers of armor. I didn't even know where the center of me was. And so 30 days becomes 60 days, and 60 days becomes 90 days. 90 days becomes 110 days, and 110 days become 142 days. So I spent 142 days in California at a trauma treatment facility, which is 4.5 months. And I originally went just to show people how it was done. And I think I probably could have stayed there another couple months with individual therapy with the clinical psychologist so that we could really unpack some of the really stuff. Like once I got to the point where I was healing, I almost was like, it was like tackling any other thing that we do as first responders. Right? Once I was keyed into what we were doing and I stopped fighting it, and it was
all in. We're going all in now. Yep.
Life-changing. So I get out of trauma treatment, I come back to work and I get thrown right back in. And I have so much moral injury, so much departmental betrayal, just because I don't believe that we have honored the person in the way that we should have. We are still chewing up agents at a rate that we can't keep up to without taking care of them of what I thought. And I turned that to be really personal. And I couldn't, because I had started to heal, I realized that this wasn't normal and I wasn't able to keep up at the rate that I had once done. And so the medical team, my medical team was like, hey, Nicole, you're starting to show symptoms again. Like, we need to pull you back out of work so that we can stop this immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, coming back out of work triggered my long-term disability and essentially medically retired me out the side door without me understanding that process, without any of us really understanding that process.
Mm-hmm.
So that put me in a deep depression. You know, I was 40 something years old and had a lot more time to serve, not only till retirement, but to give to my community.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I have had this basis of knowledge, I have this sense of healing, I feel like it can provide a whole lot more color to being a healthy person, a healthy officer, a healthy public servant.
Mm-hmm.
And that depression is horrible. And so the psychiatrist puts me on a medicine called doxepin. And within 3 days of being on doxepin, my vision is starting to become very dark. It almost looks like a vignette of like an Instagram filter where everything on the outside is very dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a level of exhaustion I've never felt before. Like, it was wet blanket, just like I was being sucked towards the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And after 3 days of this, I just said I couldn't do this anymore. I had made a decision while screaming on the bathroom floor on the third morning that I'm not going to live like this anymore, and that this would be my last day. And so I dropped my daughter off at the bus stop that morning, and I hugged and I kissed her, and I looked at her and tried to just memorize all the pieces of her face. And I tried to smile at her because I knew that was the last time that she was going to see my face, but the last time I was going to see hers. And I told her I loved her, and I watched her get out of my Jeep, and in the rear view mirror, I watched her climb up the stairs in the bus and walk to the back of the bus. And I just said, like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. And so I drove the couple 100 yards home, and I sat in the driveway, and I was in my pajamas. And I was in my pajamas for the third day. They were the same pair. And I took a deep breath, and I just let this audible, like, out. Like, I was alone. Like, I was physically alone because there was nobody with me, but I had pushed everybody in my life away. I no longer had anybody to serve. I no longer had a team who needed me. I had pushed my friends and my family away. God bless my husband, because he was there, but, you know, and my kids were there, but that had been about it. No one really had got to see that side of me because I was so good at hiding all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see, right? So everything in my life is dark, and I have this vision thing that's going on. And I had just made the decision that I'm going in the house and I am killing myself. And at that moment, I see a flash of white in my rearview mirror. And it's my husband's truck. And for some reason, he comes home, and it's early in the morning. I had just put my daughter on the bus, and so he shouldn't have been home at that time, but he comes home, and we reach out to my medical team, which I went to treatment on the West Coast and I live on the East Coast. So at 7:00 in the morning, it's the time change and everything. Yeah. So everybody's sleeping, but he stayed with me until the people on the West Coast woke up, and we found out that I was having side effects to medication that was prescribed to help me. So my optic nerve was being affected by the medication, which would eventually lead me to go blind. So that was causing the darkness in my vision. And then the suicidal ideation was the side effect of a medication that I had been on. And so I had to be medically monitored to come off the medication, titrated down slowly. And my vision started to return and the suicidal ideation started to subside. But if my husband didn't come home, I think I had it timed out that it would have taken me about 3 minutes to finish killing myself. So he was within 3 to 5 minutes away from it. And where he was, he shouldn't have made it home in time to stop this. And so this is the point in my healing journey that I start to realize that I only get one shot at this. Right? I only get one shot of this. And if I don't start to speak about what is going on with me, that not only will it kill me, but I won't have been able to share any of that with anybody else who is struggling. And so this relentless cycle that I was in of like wash, rinse, and repeat, where I was just like, rescue, serve, do it again. But I'm exhausted. I'm pushing through. I'm working through unbelievable pressures. Like I needed to break through that survival mode, right? That there was a different way to live. Mm-hmm. And I go to a place called Save a Warrior in Ohio and get some really great treatment at Save a Warrior. And again, I start talking. I talk to people at the FBI National Academy. I talk to four classes a year about what it was like to be a leader and to go to treatment, because there's not a lot of people willing to come back and say, ask me questions. What does it look like? What does the house look like? What does the treatment look like? What does it look like to go to EMDR? What about equine therapy? I've thought about ketamine. What does ketamine treatment look like? Those are all things that I've done. And no one along the lines of like sharing, there were very few people. Doug Monda and Raul Rivas from Survive First were the first people that I had heard. But I needed to hear from a female. I wanted to know what it was like to go to treatment, because I'm used to being the only female
everywhere.
Yeah. Right. What does it look like? What does it look like for a female to go to treatment? And it's not a male versus female, but like, what does it look like to take care of yourself when all you've ever done is take care of people? Plus, your gender role says that you have, like, I'm a mother to take care of.
We're supposed to be at home taking care of our families. How can I leave for 4.5 months? My family can't survive 4.5 months without me. I can't go. There's no way. No, I'm not going to go because I need to be here for my family. Meanwhile, like you said, we're absolutely train wrecking our families while we're at home because we are so dysregulated. And the best thing in the world for us would be to actually go. Our families would breathe a sigh of relief if we went knowing that we were getting help. But nope, in our minds, we can't go. We have to be there. We have to be there for them.
Yeah. And so I was so used to putting the oxygen mask on everyone else, right? The hell with the airline stewards that say, put your oxygen mask on first. No, I know how to do it better. Just right? Like, I would have been the crusty old, like, never been a firefighter, but I would have been the crusty old firefighter that like went in to burning buildings without their SCBA, right? Like,
yeah, I got it.
The turnout gear is all charred up, and it was like, meanwhile, I'm dying of some crazy thing that nobody would know about, right? So I had to break through from this survival mode, right? Mm-hmm. This relentless cycle of just working under pressure, pushing through exhaustion, coming home drained, and then doing it all over again, right? I needed to break through, and I had to believe that there was another way to do this. And I saw a bunch of people, like, they were living great lives, and I was like, oh, that's great for you. you don't understand me. I thought I was a unicorn. I mean, I have a little unicorn on my desk to remind me I'm not a unicorn, right? I'm ordinary. I'm human. And because I'm human, I get to feel. I had shut down the feeling thing. God knows, like, we had stuffed that somewhere a long time ago, put that under so much armor. But really learning, and this is what my book is about, right? Learning to choose to take care of myself first isn't a weakness. That actually, it's the only way to keep you strong enough so that you can truly help others. Because when you show up as the strongest person first, you can impact and help so many more people than just running on fumes on that relentless hamster wheel of just help, 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 help. So instead of getting slivers of help, you come from a full cup. You come from a place that is good yourself to really genuinely help other people. And that's what I'm talking about on keynote stages. I'm telling people about my story. And this doesn't get into the actual traumas, right? Like sometimes as first responders, we like to live in the glory days, right? And I can tell you about my military sexual trauma, or I can tell you about in our country, in the United States, every 3 hours, someone gets hit by a train. That's a statistic. So, our agents are going out and they are visibly seeing that scene where someone gets hit by a train. And those incident scenes could be miles long, right? So you see that, and then you see it on a video because it's all DVR footage, and this cycle of watching trauma on TV. I mean, just turn the TV on and watch trauma. You don't need to live it. You can watch it on a TV show.
Yep.
To trying to figure out how to deal with this and turn this belief inside out, where if we are strong, and I know like you're doing this with your testing and the stuff that you're doing at the gym, so you can come in with a strong basis so that we can be strong ourselves to serve other people. And I have an actionable framework. It's the 3 R's of resilience is what I call it. And it's recognize, respond, and reset. So we recognize that there is something going on within ourselves. So we have to be self-aware. Or we recognize someone close to us that is just off their game. So that might be a spouse, a child, a friend, a family member, or that may be the person, your partner sitting at work. Who sit in the seat next to you. Recognize there's something going on. And then the second is respond. You need to respond. There needs to be some kind of action. Is that a hard conversation? Like, hey, Nikki, you're fucking up this week, right? You've been late for shift every day. Your uniform looks like crap. Your phone's blowing up when we're on calls. What is going on? Is something going on in your personal life? Like, you don't need to tell me, but like it's affecting our presence here, which means we're not safe if your head is somewhere else. So respond. That might be a hard conversation. That may be a phone call to a supervisor. That may be, hey, let's go talk to somebody. So respond in some kind of manner and then reset. Like, do the work and then come back to a sense of normal, because I talk about it in waves. Our lives are a cycle of waves like the ocean. Some are really small waves, right? And some are really big waves. But if we're going to ride those waves, we need to reset, because if we have a lot of small waves, if you don't get up and reset yourself, those small waves can still drown you. Right? And some waves in lives are tsunamis. They just take you the hell out. Right? They are massive, life-clearing storms. But at the end, we always need to reset. because life is a cycle and we have to choose intentionally how we're going to do it. And I think for myself is that I never believed that I had the intention to do anything different. I just thought I was along for the ride and this is how life was. I didn't realize I could choose. And so recognize, respond, and reset was my version of like, I can recognize when people are happy and I can respond to that and be like, hey, Nikki, you look great today. You look like you had a great night's sleep. You had a great weekend. Your face is full of life. That's great. So I responded and then we reset and we move on. So this cycle keeps going. And I'm just trying every day to live with intention that I can do something and I can plan that intentionally. And then there's also like some time for fun. I didn't realize that fun was something I had to plan in, but I realized it was definitely not there for decades. Right. So now I have to intentionally plan that. And, sometimes it's not fun when we first start, but once we get into it, and if we're present, then we can really enjoy some of those times.
Yeah. You're, like I said, your journey is just insane. Like it's so vast and expansive, and the things that you've been through, like for me, it's when we were talking before we started recording, you're probably the first person that I've met that had gone to treatment that extensively and had come back and then had still spiraled again. Like I've heard, I've talked to people where, like they might have done like a 6-hour workshop at work, or they did like a 1-day retreat and they came back and like, I've got these skills and I'm coping. And then they spiral. But to have done, like you said, 4.5 months, the deep dive, and to feel like you were healed, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. We look at this like, and I think this is a big part, like you're talking about, the waves of life, is we look at treatment as like the next thing to conquer, the next thing, like the next box to check. Okay, like treatment done, check. Okay, now I'm better. But it's not that. Like, it's not that you're going to be, you're going to be better at the end of treatment. You should be, if you're at the right place and you're doing the right things. But it doesn't mean that then stops, like that all of a sudden now we've done treatment, we're good. We don't need to keep doing the things to keep ourselves healthy, right? So we just kind of like check it, right? And so then for you to come back and have, that's the spiral happening again, obviously, medication and things like that being, like contributing factors. But it's very interesting to me that, even then we can spiral, even then we can start to, and like you were saying, that medically being basically forced to medically retire when you're not ready, when you're tied up with that identity, when you're coming back out of treatment with this, like, I've got all these things to share and I can't wait and I'm going to save more people, because even though we've been to treatment for this amount of time, we're still going to come back and lead and save, right? Because now we know these things and we're like, oh my God, let me tell you about all these things. Right. And so then that loss of identity of what you wanted to do, and that sense too of like you said, that betrayal of like, no, like you can't medically fucking retire me. Like I have things to say and I have things to share. Like, excuse me, don't you medically retire me. So that, like, it just, and then like your sharing of like the day that you were going to commit suicide, like that. That's so personal and it's so raw. And thank you for sharing that with us, because I don't think that we do share those things. We keep those inside because those are the deep, dark moments where we're like, well, I'm not going to tell anybody about that. No, no. That's just a secret that we keep inside our minds. And so I think that, we need to keep that constant work going. And we need to recognize that even if we've done all the things that we think, the equine therapy, the ketamine, the, EMDR, like the 4 months of therapy, we've seen a psychologist, we're talking about our things, we're doing our yogas, we're doing our mindfulness, we're doing our breathing, that's going to be a continuous progress. And we need to recognize that it's not just going to be a box that we're going to check, that this now, to remain healthy for the rest of our lives, we have to continue to do this. It's like going to the gym. You have to continue to do it, because if you don't go to the gym, what happens? You feel like shit, you look like shit, your fucking PRs drop, you got nothing, your strength is gone, right? Well, if you don't do what you need to do to take care of yourself mentally, you're going to feel like shit, you're going to look like shit, you're not going to be eating well, you're not going to be sleeping well, and then it's all going to tank again. And it happens much quicker than we think. So, yeah, I just, like I said, your story it's inspiring 100%. And I love that you're now taking the opportunity to speak about this and to share and to be authentic and raw and tell people. And your book, I love it. So somebody told you way back in the day that you were too stupid to go to college, but like, fuck you, bitch. Watch me write this book. Watch my dyslexic ass write this motherfucking book. And you better fucking read. You know what you should do? You should, like, this is the petty part of me. You need to fucking that book. You need to print it. You need to put a little fucking note, and then you need to mail it to that guidance counselor and be like, double fucking fuck you. Read this book, bitch, and tell me if I'm stupid now.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that you hit on there. I don't even know if he's alive. So interesting. But after I have an associate's, a bachelor's, a master's. I've got a degree from Johns Hopkins. I've been to the FBI National Academy, all these things, right? Because I have this idea that I'm defective and that I'm not smart enough. And so every time I achieve a new thing, I feel good for about 30 seconds. And it was like on to the next thing, like, because I'm trying to prove to somebody who most likely does not know that we even had that conversation, right? Doesn't remember it. Then I get mad because it's like, how many other people did he say that kind of crap to?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But not only did he shape my life and drove me to do a lot of hard things, right? He also gave me a lot, right? He took from me a lot and he gave to me a lot. So there's like two ends of that spectrum. But I've never been able to feel great about any of those accomplishments. He robbed me of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so now with intention, I am like, it is about the journey of what I learned in that moment, or, going through that. It is not the piece of paper that I got at the end, or the yellow brick that's the yellow brick that's behind me. You get that at the FBI National Academy when you do the thing called the Yellow Brick Road. But also, just like you said, like, I had been through way longer than the average stay at a mental, health facility.
Mm-hmm.
The average stay is like anywhere from 30 to 60 days at this particular treatment center. I exceeded that. That was another thing that I did
over and above. Yes.
Person, right? But that was not rock bottom for me. I went in thinking I was doing it for other people, right? Like, that's how delusional I was, because it was like, I don't need this. I'm just going to go back and tell my team what it's like to go to treatment. And this is the accommodations. This is the food they had. This is the treatment they had. This is the regime they had at the gym. And this tick, 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 tick. It was a medication change. And that was never on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
As a wellness support person, as a peer support person, as a person who had done all these things, that was never, like, I thought I was good. My family thought I was good. So when this happened, this was like, no, we want our money back.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Also, there's a small little troll inside of me. This negative thing is like, you screwed that up too.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have, for maybe 4 years now, journaled every day. And just 3 weeks ago, when I was at a ketamine retreat for EMS in California called Wabi Sabi, did I realize that my journaling had become a discipline to check the box.
No.
So at the top of my journal, I would write, did I eat today? Because that was some of my problems in treatment. I would stop eating, right? Did I eat today? Did I do my gratitude practice? Did I have a social connection today? Am I alone? Have I isolated today? did I see a professional for help? Did I go to the therapist? Did I go to a doctor? You know, like, and then I would journal about the day. My journaling had become, I was taking report, right? It was just a reporting of facts. It wasn't how I was feeling or how it made me feel or how it was tied to something in the past or how I could have done this, or I was just taking I have almost 4 years of report taking of just what I did in my life. So it became a discipline to the point where the overachiever part in me, so I wasn't getting the positive effects from journaling because I had taken it to an extreme.
Yep.
Again, journaling's great when you're in the window
Yep.
of goodness. Anything on the extreme is bad for you. I had taken it to the extreme, my meditation to the extreme. I wasn't present. I wasn't where my feet are. And so that's, you know, as I talk about the 3 R's of resilience: recognize, respond, and reset. It's about being present. It's about being where your feet are and giving you tools. And they're not fancy. They're not sexy. They're real. Right. And it doesn't overhaul your life like overnight. You don't wake up one day and go, oh, I use the 3 R's and I am perfect. Check that box onto the new thing. But they're real and they're repeatable. And a shift begins the moment you recognize that you're in a cycle, right? That you do this every single day. If you sit in your car before you walk into your house after a shift, and you have any little sense of like, before you go in the house, you need to recognize that you are in a cycle and you need to choose something different. Whether you shake yourself in the car before you get in the house, or you do something before you cross that threshold to make sure that you're not bringing whatever was at work into the house. You just have to recognize that you're in a cycle and that you have the choice at any point to do something different. You do. And by sharing that with friends and family, safe friends and family, not everybody is safe, right? Not everybody deserves trust.
Yeah.
So that's so super important, because there's some people in this world that'll use everything against you, right? I'm medically retired, completely separated. They can't hurt me now, right? But there's some things that are for just me. They don't ever have to come across my lips again. Or I can choose with my culturally competent therapist to talk about it. There's some people, and even your family can fit into this. Like, there's some people that are trusted that can have that information. And then there's some people that just don't. But if there's something on your heart that you need to share, find somebody trustworthy to do that with. And the more that you share with your trusted group, you'd be surprised. I know I threw my unicorn, but like, everybody's suffering. Everybody's struggling. We just hide it really well. First responders hide it the best. We are master manipulators in that image of like strength and honor and duty and country, and we have to look a certain way. And we feel shameful when we don't. But the real strength is taking care of yourself first. And then you can show up to be a better parent, a better spouse, a better significant other, a better family member, a better community servant. Those things are so much better when you take care of yourself.
Yeah. When you're coming to it from a healthy position rather than a survival, when you're actually thriving in your role instead of just surviving in your role. Yeah. Absolutely.
When you have connection. So humans are wired for two things. We're wired for struggle and we're wired for connection. We're all going to struggle. The way we survive this is connection.
Yeah. No, like, you're touching on so many good things. And like, just even the, when you leave and people that want to talk shit about you, like, well, I don't work there anymore, so fucking say whatever you want. Like, like, do you think that it hurts my feelings now? But when I was there, if somebody talked shit about me, if somebody said that I was like, oh, Nikki's a bitch as a boss, like she's such a bitch. She's so, she's fucking makes me do my job. Yeah, I fucking make you do your job. Like I do make you do your job because you get paid to fucking do it. But like I would take that home and I would be upset about that. And I would be like, well, maybe I need to change. Like maybe I don't need to be so harsh or so blunt. And now I'm like, I don't work there anymore. I don't give a fuck. Like you should do your fucking job. You get paid to do it. Fucking buck up, boy, and get out there and do the job you get paid to do. And like, you want to call me a bitch? I am a bitch. I will own that wholeheartedly because I don't give a shit anymore because I don't work there anymore. But when I was there, when you're constantly getting that barrage of like, oh, you're too this, you're too that, you're too bitchy, you're too passionate, you're too, yeah, you said those little waves start to crash and crash and crash and crash. And then all of a sudden, who am I? Who am I as a person? I've just tried to mold myself to all these different, versions of whatever you want me to be. Okay, well, I guess I'll be that. Oh, and now I've got to go out on the unit with these inmates. Well, now I got to put on fucking tough Nikki, and I'm not going to put up with your shit and listen to what I'm saying. And oh, but wait, now I've got a suicidal inmate. Well, now I've got to be empathetic Nikki. Okay, well, let me put that persona on. And like, oh, and now I've got, a staff member who's got a bunch of personal shit. Okay, well, now I got to do different version of empathetic Nikki. Let me put that armor on. Okay, like, and try not to take that trauma home, knowing that my staff member is now his wife's left him and he's losing his kid, like whatever, right? And so it's that constant barrage of like, oh, and then who am I at the end of the day? And then I come home and my kids are like, mom, 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 mom. And all they really want to say to me is, I did this at school today, or like, look at my cool project. And I'm like, fuck off. I can't do it. It's like, I fucking have nothing left to like, fuck off.
Yeah.
But the ones that actually deserve me, the ones that I should be intentional with, the ones that I should be giving my love and attention to, those little babies and my husband and the people that I come home to every day, I had nothing left. When you become checking the box of the things or extreme, because that's the other thing that first responders are. We are black or white. We are all the way fucking all in, balls in, let's go, or we are fully like disengaged. I am not doing that. I'm not doing that, right? And so all in will let me hyper journal, let me hyper exercise, let me hyper meditate, let me become a fucking ultra marathoner, run until my feet are bleeding, do, like a David Goggins style, like I am all in, right? Or I'm not doing any of that shit. I'm not exercising. I'm not journaling. Oh, that's foo-foo stuff. I'm not doing that. I'm out. No. And we need to find the balance. We need to find the sweet spot of, yes, this I like, and this makes me feel better. So I'm going to do this. Running, I fucking hate. I hate every single second of it. So no, that is not the exercise modem that I am going to choose because I will hate every single second of it. But I do love yoga and I do love rugby and I do love, these things. So I'm going to go do these things because these things make me feel better, but not this one. So I'm not going to do this one, but I'm still going to do some of the thing because I need that balance in the middle. So yeah, I totally with you. Okay, I know that I've taken a lot of your time and you have another podcast to go to get to. So don't want to be taking any time away, but I want to wrap up with some fun kind of rapid fire questions because you do have so much experience and we didn't get really a chance to kind of dive into some of your experiences because you do have such a different message that we want to share today. But I'm going to take you back into your police, EMS, National Guard time and ask one of my favorite questions. And that is, what was your favorite food or snack to eat while you were at work or while you were on shift?
Okay, don't laugh. So my favorite snack is Harpo gummy Coke bottles.
Yes.
And so I just love them. I love any Harpo. I'm trying to look around because usually
you have some on your desk. Yeah.
They eat some. But Harpo, so when I was in the Army, we got deployed to Germany and I got to go to the Black Forest where they were originally, supposed to have come. And so Harpo German gummy bears are so much better than they are here in the US. Probably in Canada, they're probably better because they probably don't have all the junk that our country puts in our food. But yeah,
Okay,
Harpo gummy, anything.
That makes so much sense. So I used to have a nanny, like an au pair, and she was from Germany. And I did not know this about that's where Harpo came from. I don't know how we never had this conversation. I'm gonna have to text her after we get off and be like, how did you not tell me this? But that's what her parents used to mail her, was like gummies and shit. And I always thought to myself, like, girl, like, why are your parents spending money to mail you fucking gummies? Like, go to the store down the road and get the fucking Coke bottles or get like the gummy bears. Okay, it makes sense now.
There's something in Germany with the Harpo gummy bears. Maybe they come from some enchanted place in the Black Forest, but German gummy bears from Harpo, that's where it's at.
I love that. That's hilarious. Okay. What is the coolest location that you've ever had the opportunity to work at or been to on a call? Or again, you were deployed to Germany. That's pretty fucking cool. But coolest location you've ever been to?
I don't know. I got to work with Border Patrol before it was ICE, before 9/11. So before Department of Homeland Security got to take it over. And we were on an operation called Roving Sands, where all the global superpowers came over and showed off their latest and greatest weapons at the time. And so being on the edge of Texas and working with Border Patrol before 9/11 and our border things was pretty cool. Being in Germany, in Grafenwehr, was those are pretty cool spots. I was also in Italy and Vicenza with the Army too. So my Army stuff, I got to travel to some pretty beautiful places. But if we're talking, like, if I want to go rest and relax and do something completely off of work now, it's the Rocky Mountains. I'm heading out west to the Rocky Mountains, but I do want to go to Banff.
Yeah,
right? I need to
come on over.
Yeah, where like I keep seeing pictures, and I need to see the Northern Lights. Like that's a bucket list.
Dude, we saw them this weekend in my backyard. And pictures. I'll send you. They were really pretty.
Go out my window. It's April.
No.
Big giant snowflakes.
No. Yeah, they were really pretty this weekend, actually. It was funny. We were like sitting around the fire, and all of a sudden my girls were like, Mom, look at the sky. We like looked at the trees. I was like, oh, we ran to the back because we got like a clearing in our back and took some really good pictures. I'll send them to you. You can see them from a picture. But yes, you are more than welcome. You can come stay in my house. I'll take you to Banff. We'll go to the mountains. We'll go hiking. It'll be amazing.
For sure.
Well, like I said, I mean, this has been an amazing episode. You've shared so many good things and so many, like, again, just little takeaways that I hope that our listeners, and we talked about this again before we started recording about, this season 8 has been, for the podcast, has been a lot of, mental strategies, mental wellness, talking about trauma in our bodies, talking about, how we can process things or ways to talk to our first responders or to our spouses when we recognize, you said, like those signs and symptoms. And you just shared so many good little takeaways that hopefully, even though we might have said the same thing in a different episode in a different way, that it will resonate at some point to the people that need to hear it when they need to hear it. And that may be that this is a listener that has just found our podcast today and is like, oh my God, I needed to hear this. But I think, like the authenticity and the rawness that you brought, and just the firsthand, like this is how shitty it can get. And this is what happens if you don't do these things it's been, I just, thank you. I feel very blessed that we were able to meet and talk and we can share all the things that you've learned, and hopefully our listeners learn from it too. So thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in, listening, giving me your time, your energy, and your attention. I completely appreciate it. Make sure you check out our next episode with another badass female first responder anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at bluelinefitnesstesting.com. I hope you stay safe, keep your head on a swivel, and watch your six.